Hello and welcome. Thank you for purchasing my budgeting template. This video is going to be a quick tutorial video on how to use the spreadsheet and make it the most effective for you. So initially when you open the spreadsheet, you will see that there's an instructions tab that will tell you everything that we're going to go over today. If you hover over one of the cells with a little black triangle in the corner, all of this will be typed out in case you need, if you have any additional questions, or you need to know how to use one of the features of the template. So this spreadsheet is designed to use the 50-30-20 method of budgeting, which basically just means 50% of your income goes towards your necessary expenses, 30% goes towards varying expenses such as clothes, shoes, dining, etc., and 20% goes towards savings, which you can see in that first section here. You'll put your check date in this column right here, the check amount, and then those categories: expenses, spending, and savings. So initially when you get your check, I recommend you coming down here to the deposit quick calculator, and you can put the deposit amount of your check in this first cell right here, and it will automatically calculate how much you need to put into each category. So for this example I used $1,200, but if your check was, let's say, $600, you'll see that it automatically calculates how much you need to put into each category. And then you'll just simply take those numbers and plug them in up here. This next section is going to be your fixed expenses. So you can put expenses in this column, the amount in this column, and the due date in this column. However, if you do need more rows in this section, I recommend instead of inserting rows this way, you highlight where you want the row to be and move the information down so to create a space here. Otherwise, you're going to interfere with this spending tracker, which I'll go over in a little bit. If you start inserting rows, the format isn't going to carry over onto these columns, and you're just going to mess up the formulas and the tracking and all of that. So if you do need to enter more rows into a section, just highlight where you want the row to be entered and then drag the rest of the data down. The next section is going to be for your debt, such as personal loans or credit cards. And then this entire section for expenses is actually calculated. So it'll take this balance, your beginning balance, which should be zero. The idea behind the 50-30-20 method is that you give each dollar a name, and so you should be putting, you should be coming down to zero. But let's just say you had $2 left over. That will automatically calculate down here. So for this example, we're just going to use 0, and then this is how much you're putting into the expenses quote-unquote fund every paycheck. Your fixed expense amounts are going to be here, and then this is going to be the remainder. In this example, we have a remainder of $225, but as I said, ideally you want it to be 0, so you could put this dollar amount into either spending or savings. But you do have columns for the amount and the due date here. The next section is going to be your spending section. So up here at the top, this is the amount that you're putting into your spending fund each paycheck, and the total amount of that is going to be calculated here for you, so just so that you can see how much you can spend for a specific month. And then this number down here is actually going to be the difference between your spending amount total and how much you saved. So this is how much you plan on putting in, this is how much you actually spent, and then this is the remainder. A note down here on sinking funds: your spending account and your savings account can be considered a sinking fund, which just means that the balance carries over to the next month. So if you do have a balance in this cell right here, when you go ahead and make another month for your budget, another tab, you want to take this remainder and put it in up here so that you can accurately calculate how much you have left in your spending account. And then same thing with the savings. If you're just starting out to begin saving, this number will probably be 0, but let's just say you already have $500 saved up and you are now planning on putting $240 into savings each paycheck. This will automatically calculate what your balance will be at the end of the month if you were to put $240 from each paycheck into it. And that's just a simple formula right here. Moving over to the spending tracker, this is for any of your non-fixed expenses, as I mentioned, such as clothes, shoes, dining, hair, nails, etc. And each of these categories, each of these drop-downs is actually formulated from this box here. So you do have room to add additional categories if you're not satisfied with the categories that are provided. And let's say that you added a gardening expense. That will automatically populate here in the drop-down, as you can see. Moving on to the spend analysis chart. This chart is automatically populated from the data that you enter in this spending tracker section. So let's say Fido needs to get groomed, and we put that in our spending tracker under pets, and it was about 50 bucks. So now you'll see that that is automatically updated in this spend analysis chart, so you can see exactly how much you're spending in each category. And it does automatically populate for each transaction. So let's say you bought dog food, we'll put that in under pets, and that one is also going to be $50. That you see automatically updates here in this yellow little slice of the pie. So this is actually a dynamic chart, and will update every time you put a new transaction in there. And as you can see, the total here updated as well, and it will update right here. So on any given day, you can come in and see exactly how much spending you have left for the month. As long as this spending tracker is updated, this number will be correct, and you can see how much spending you have for the rest of the month. So that should be everything. That should be all of the sections. As I mentioned, all of the sections have little notes attached to certain cells, so you can see how to use all of the sections. And once you, when you do go ahead and need a new tab for a new month, you can just go ahead and duplicate it, and all of the formulas will be duplicated for you, even this chart. So you'll see that here. It's very simple to keep track of your budget. If you have any additional questions, you can comment below or message me on Etsy, and I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you again for purchasing my budgeting template, and I hope this helps.